Hey there, pre-PAs. I know you're ready to start saving lives, but let's take a step back just for a moment. Let's first help you select the best PA school for your needs. And I know what you're thinking. You just want to get into any PA school, any school that would accept you. Well, that's actually a really bad mentality because once you're a new grad PA, you'll wish you were more selective in your decision-making process. So in this video, we're going to go to the 3 most important factors you should consider when selecting the best PA program for you. On average, you can expect to pay anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 in tuition fees alone. Keep in mind, this doesn't cover additional expenses like textbooks, equipment, clinical rotation costs, living expenses, and transportation. When you factor in cost of living, you could be looking at an additional $10,000 or even $50,000 for living expenses, especially in major cities like Boston or LA, where they tend to have higher cost of living overall. If you end up in a 3-year program in a big city, your expenses can be extremely high. Take, for example, at USC, the USC Keck School of Medicine, their tuition alone reaches almost $200,000, and that's not accounting for cost of living. The average new grad PA salary is about $110,000. How long will it take you to pay up $100,000 versus $200,000 in student loan debt? And is it worth it? Now, for me, I can tell you, I attended one of the top PA schools in the nation back in 2010. I paid $80,000 for my tuition alone, which is pretty high considering that was 13 years ago. I went to Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is a well-established PA school with an exceptional reputation, and the quality of the education was phenomenal. But so was the debt. I walked out of PA school with $150,000 in debt at 26 years old. Now, I paid off that debt in 4 years, but knowing what I know now, I probably could have paid that off in 2 years. Most PA school will provide you with some basic resources to get you through your education. But do they give you enough resources to help you excel as a new grad PA? Here's what you should consider. Clinical rotations. Your clinical rotations are the most important part of your education. You need to apply everything that you've learned in your didactic year into your clinical rotation. And you can only be successful in your clinical rotation if you have great preceptors who are willing to teach you. The question you really have to ask the school and the current students is, what's the clinical rotation setup like? Does the school set them up for you, or do you have to set up your own clinical rotation? This is especially important if you want to complete rotations out of state. You also want to ask the program if they're struggling to find clinical rotations for their students, because most of them are. Ask them what kind of relationships they have with the hospitals and the clinics and the private practices, because with so many new PA schools popping up left and right, finding quality rotations has become a big challenge for most PA schools. The key word here is the word quality, because anybody can find rotations, but quality rotations, that's the difference. Rotations with exceptional preceptors in a supportive learning environment. Preceptors who are willing to teach you. There are so many bad preceptors out there who will use you to clean their toilets or make you do MA duties like room the patients or do the vitals. That's not your job as a PA student. You're there to learn actual medicine. It's a real big red flag when you're doing things that you should not be doing. Nowadays, a lot of PA schools are actually paying preceptors to take on students because they're having a lot of trouble finding quality preceptors. Next up, you're going to want to have some sort of resource to help you prepare for your boards. Now, before you can become a certified PA, you have to take this big fat test. It's a 3-hour test. It's horrible. It's gruesome. It's called the Pance, P-A-N-C-E. It's a horrendous test. And most schools will offer you some sort of assistance to help you prepare for this test. They might give you access to a 300 or 500 question bank like Ross Review or Pance Pearl Prep. And those are great resources. Now, some schools will even bring in a Pance study specialist for an intensive week of preparation. I've heard some schools have a special committee that can identify high-risk students they think may struggle with the Pance or fail the Pance. These students are then required to meet regularly with the program director during the clinical year to come up with a plan to study and pass that exam. Now, it might seem a little intimidating, but it's actually a really good thing because that's a program that's truly invested in your education from the very beginning, and they're doing everything in their power to help you succeed. Surprisingly, I posted this question on my Instagram recently, asking about the resources that PA programs offered their students, and there were some very interesting responses. As you can see, some schools offer a few resources, some schools offer a ton of resources, and some schools surprisingly offer nothing. Even if they were a private school, a for-profit school with very high tuition, they didn't offer them any resources, which is a big, big shocker to me. And I was also really surprised that some schools required you to buy these resources on your own out of pocket. Quick reminder, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell for more PA-related content. And if you're on Instagram, come say hi to me. I answer all my DMs. Tell me you came from YouTube and tell me your pre-PA journey. ready. From the moment you step foot on the campus, be observant, eyes open, ears open. Look at how the students and the professors interact. Do they interact really well? Are they friendly? Do the professors know the students' names? Is the environment lively, or is it really serious and quiet? Does the student even look happy and alive, or are they all miserable and depressed? How is everyone dressed? Are the students all dressed up in business casual attire, or are they wearing joggers and a hoodie? If you're doing a school interview and you get a chance to talk to the current PA students in the program, do it and don't be shy. Don't hold back. Ask them about their experiences as PA students. What do they like about the program? What do they dislike? And what do they think of the professors? Honestly, they'll tell you everything. They will spill the tea, no holding back. Ask them what their daily routines look like. What's a day in the life of a PA student at this particular school? Are they in school for long hours, say 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., or are they doing the normal 9 to 5 schedule? Are most of the lectures in person, or are they conducted via Zoom? Is there any expectations from the student to do a lot of volunteer work in addition to the regular coursework? Because those volunteer hours, those required volunteer hours, will eat away at your study time. And again, I'm speaking from experience. It's also worth finding out whether the program fosters a more collaborative or a competitive environment. Some programs really encourage their students to work together and study together, while other programs lean towards a more individualistic approach, which really creates a very competitive dog-eat-dog world. And I don't like that at all. You also want to explore what kind of support the school has for students who are struggling academically. For example, you're having trouble managing your time efficiently or studying a bunch of material in a very short amount of time. What resources are available to you as a student? How will the school help you develop better study habits and provide you with more support and more guidance? Is there a mentorship program with the upperclassmen? Because that is extremely helpful. Those upperclassmen, they've been through what you've been through, and they give you a bunch of tips that can make your life a lot better. These are super important questions to ask during your interview. Don't worry. By asking these questions, it won't make you appear as though you're expecting to struggle. It demonstrates that you're well prepared and you've considered all worst case scenario in PA school. And lastly, you really want to gauge the culture of the program by looking at their faculty members. Ask the professors how long they've been teaching there. Is the faculty relatively new, or have the professors been there for 5 or 10 or 15 years? Because good PA programs have a low turnover rate. I gave you a lot of information. Let's take a breather and focus on things that you can stress less about when you're selecting a PA program. Let's start with the Pance pass rate. I know this is an unpopular opinion. Most PAs think that the Pance pass rate is a really big deal. And PA school, they love to announce all over their website that their Pance pass rate is 97%, 100%. But not that big of a deal. Now, don't get me wrong. It is important for PA schools to have high Pance pass rates. But most schools, they actually have Pance pass rates in the 90 percentile. Now, whether their pass rate is 90% versus 93 versus 98, that really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, because that's really a difference between 1 and 4 students. It's tempting to get caught up in 1 year's Pance pass rate, but those numbers can fluctuate, and they often do. Those numbers do not give you a full picture of the program's quality or how their students are consistently performing. You really have to consider the clinical experience, the curriculum, and the overall experience. That second thing you should care less about is the fancy facilities. Quinnipiac was extremely fancy, and I fell for it. I love the well-equipped lab, the big libraries, the fancy simulation centers, and all the latest technology. It was great. And yes, it definitely enhanced my learning experience. But here's the thing. Fancy toys, they're not free. You're paying for it. That new gym, that new computer, that floor-to-ceiling window, your tuition money is paying for all of that. So focus on the availability of the most important resource you need for your education, not the other stuff. Whether you graduate from the best PA school or the worst PA school, nobody really cares. Nobody has ever in my entire career asked me where I went to PA school and what the ranking was. I was never offered a higher salary or a lead PA position because I went to a top-tier private school. I know everybody wants to go to PA school in Hawaii or Miami or LA, but there's a lot of drawbacks to big cities. 1, you're going to want to end up partying, and 2, cost of living is really high. And also keep in mind that wherever you go to PA school, you're more likely to get a job there. I went to school in Connecticut, and even though I had no intention of staying in Connecticut, I ended up staying there for an additional 3 years because I got an exceptional job. In Connecticut, my time there ended up being almost 5 years, even though I planned to get out a lot earlier. That is all I got for you today, guys. I know I don't do a lot of pre-PA content, so if you want more pre-PA stuff, please tell me in the comments below. Let me know what you're struggling with, how I can help. And again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and press the like button if you like this type of content. I will see you in the next video, and thank you for watching the entire thing. Bye, guys.